but everything else pretty much the same.
So the designated hitter leads off. Johnny Damon is up, and this ball game is now underway. We thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jamie Campbell with Darren Fletcher. There is Johnny Damon, slated to hit second, but Derek Jeter's a late scratch, and so he's watching this one from the bench. 1 ball and 1 strike. Richmond facing Damon. Damon, the only man in the Yankee lineup with 2 hits last night. They only had 5 all told against Roy Halladay. And he's off to a good start, a .320 average, 9 home runs for Damon. And he leads the Yankees with 25 RBIs. 2-1. Now 3 balls and a strike.
Well, as we watch this game progress, what I'm going to be looking for out of Scott Richmond is how many strikes does he get with his fastball. Talking to Rod Barajas before the game, he said in spring training the only reliable pitch that he could throw for a strike was the slider. And that's a bit odd. You would think your best controllable pitch would be your fastball as a pitcher, but for him it was the slider. And what he said, when the big league season started and he made the team out of spring training, like a light switch went on, and he just started throwing more strikes with the heater.
Breaking ball, and he gets a swing from Damon. Works it back from 3-1 and gets the strikeout. Damon walks away mumbling to himself.
Well, mumbling, thinking, all right, it's 3-2, and he throws me a slider in the dirt. Wasn't a very good hack by Johnny Damon there. But that is his best pitch. 3-2. Anytime in the count, he's going to want to work that slider.
So now we see the switch hitter Nick Swisher in his first year with the Yankees. Played just a single season last year with the Chicago White Sox, and he rips that one foul. He looks skyward before every pitch. Swing and a miss, 0-2.
Yeah, Nick Swisher has a neat little routine that he goes through before every at bat.
He's got a bunch of routines.
Yeah, there's about 8 different things that he has to do, and he does it every time before he finally gets set in the box. Makes the pitcher like Scott Richmond wait a bit.
He backs out here. When you catch that close up and see Swisher looking toward the sky, he's saying a little something to his grandparents, believe it or not, who raised him. Ball gets away there from Barajas. It's 1-2.
I'm really intrigued by the story of Scott Richmond too. I mean, the independent leaguer, 29 years old, finally gets his chance. The Canadian kid that's going to be in the rotation for the Blue Jays. And some players can rise to the occasion, some cannot. Some can get scared and just crumble, and Scott Richmond has seized the opportunity and pitched very well early on here, and a lot is going to be expected of him.
Scott Richmond was a long shot.
Oh, the longest of long shots, really.
Like that horse Mind That Bird that won the Kentucky Derby. Here's a guy who, you know, was 60-1 to make the big leagues. And he's looking pretty good at the major league level. He just struck out Nick Swisher. Back-to-back Ks for Richmond.
Well, you got Johnny Damon on the slider, and this one here is a sinker down and away. And if there's one knock on Nick Swisher is the fact that he doesn't make contact that much. He's a big league hitter, but he does swing and miss quite a bit. A lot of strikeouts, but with that, you'll get some home runs.
Mark Teixeira is the number 3 hitter, and he falls behind 0-1. It is well known around New York that Teixeira is off to a slow start, hitting just .191. Though they can't be complaining about 7 home runs. He really established himself with the Texas Rangers. He was the 5th overall pick in the 2001 draft by Texas. Was traded off to Atlanta. Ended up playing a half season last year with the Angels and signed as a free agent with New York. And that ball seemed to catch Chuck Merriweather. And Rod Barajas does the right thing here, and he's going to go and give Merriweather some time to recover.
Yeah, veteran move. Umpire gets nicked. Go out and talk to your pitcher. Take the opportunity to let the umpire lick his wounds a bit.
Mark Teixeira last night 0 for 4 in the loss to the Blue Jays. He struck out twice and has just 7 hits in his last 31 at bats. Two and two, and it's ripped to right field. A base hit to Teixeira.
Well, here's the hanging slider. Well, that's a hanging breaking ball. That was an over the top 12-6 breaking ball. He tried to trick him on, and Teixeira's right on top of it. Gets a base hit right through that shift that the Blue Jays put on for him.
Time to face Alex Rodriguez. Now that A.J. Burnett's pitched his game, Rodriguez becomes the local whipping boy. And he looks at ball one. Here's a man with 31 career home runs in this building. The most by any visiting ball player in this ballpark's history.
And one of the prettiest swings you'll ever see. Really balanced through the ball.
There's the 29-year-old right-hander from North Vancouver with a 2-0 count on Rodriguez. One man at first, 2 are out. That ball gets away, and up to second goes Teixeira.
Well, that pitch there will happen now and again when you're facing a big-time player like Alex Rodriguez. It's 2-0. It's a fastball count. You're going to throw a fastball, and you're really afraid of throwing at anything close to the plate. He pulls this one down and away.
I'd say he's driven in a few in his career against the Jays. 143. Not bad at all. 3-0 here. And ball 4 issued. So
he didn't want anything. No part of him at all.
2 on, 2 out then. Top of the first inning. We're just underway. And Robinson Cano will bat for the Yankees.
Now this is an important spot in the Yankees lineup, is the 5th hitter, the guy that hits behind Alex Rodriguez, because when you're in the lineup and you got a guy like Alex Rodriguez, they're going to pitch around him now and again. So this spot Robinson Cano's got is that he's going to have an opportunity in the 5th hole, if he hits there much, to hit with runners in scoring position.
Well, Cano was 0 for 3 last night and is just 5 for his last 36. He grounds it foul despite the fact he's put together an impressive .313 average.
Well, he started off like gangbusters. He was hitting well over 400 early in the season. Slowed down some. But this is a spot in the lineup the Yankees have used Nick Swisher. They've used Matsui. I would imagine that Xavier Nady, when healthy, would be in this spot.
The 0-1 drilled foul. And so Cano's in a bind here, 0-2. I do like the guys dressed as umpires right behind him.
How about that?
They're not there in reserve. Those are guys that just bought tickets and dressed accordingly. Let's see if they punch out Cano here. Here's the pitch. Scott coming off a loss Friday in Oakland. A complete game loss at that. And he gave up more than 3 earned runs for the first time in his career. That was 11 starts.
And it was all in that third inning, I believe.
Second inning, a five-run second.
5-run second, and he gave up a couple home runs, but was able to. Cito kept him out there and pitched a complete game. Could have easily fallen apart after giving up the 5 earnings and just came out, but stuck it out.
1-2, and he steps off. Yeah, he surrendered the 5 runs in the second inning, and then in the other 7 innings gave up 1 hit and 1 walk. That was it. It's odd that he could look so bad in 1 inning and so good the rest of the way. Still a surprising 4-1 on the year, and trying to get out of this with 2 men on for the Yankees in the first inning. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Cano. Richmond deals at the knees, 2-2. Richmond sets. Here's the pitch, and it's flied into shallow right field. On comes Vernon Wells, and out go the Yankees. They leave a pair here in the first inning. When we return, Marco Scutaro leads off for the Jays. Left-handed lineup. When they face a southpaw, here's how it normally looks. And Aaron Hill is riding an 8-game hit streak. He homered last night. So Kevin Millar replaces Lyle Overbay at first, and Jose Bautista takes over for Travis Snyder in left. Cito's become predictable, and it's nice to see. I'm sure the players like knowing that they're going on certain days, and in this case, Millar and Bautista will face left-handed starter Andy Pettitte.
Well, here's a familiar face in the Yankee pinstripes, Andy Pettitte. Making his 36th career start against the Toronto Blue Jays. Venture to say that Andy Pettitte will, I imagine, have some sort of plaque dedicated to him in the Hall of Fame at the new Yankee Stadium. A guy that's been a stalwart for years. Southpaw has won a ton of games. Still doing his thing. It's the sinker, the cutter in, the slider, the get me over curveball. And really one guy that survived all this supplement talk and all this thing, and he just admitted it and moved on.
He was named in the Mitchell report in December of '07 as he gets a foul ball from Scutaro. Essentially tabbed by Brian McNamee to have used HGH, and Pettitte admitted to it. Said he used it on 2 occasions in '02 to help heal an injury. Here's the 1-2. He's certainly been given a wider berth than his good friend Roger Clemens.
Yeah, I think the North American cultures are very forgiving. The guy came out and said I did it a couple times, and forgive me and move on. And I believe that Major League Baseball, for some reason, has forgiven this guy.
Well, he's facing Marco Scutaro, who has reached base in 31 of the 35 games the Jays have played this year. And we keep waiting for Cito Gaston to start John McDonald and give Scutaro a day off. But Scutaro is performing so well, it makes it very, very difficult to do. That just misses. And look at Francisco Cervelli, who was about to throw it around the horn.
He was. Don't do that, youngster.
Whoa.
Chuck Merriweather is not going to like that.
I think he just turned and
you
apologized.
Stay down there. Don't anticipate that as a strike. It's close, but you wait for the right arm to go up from the umpire.
So on 3-2, that's ball 4.
You see that pitch right there. Andy Pettit's asking if that ball's outside, but after Cervelli kind of jumped out like that, he wasn't going to get that pitch. Let's look at Andy Pettit's scouting report. Stuff never changes. It's the same thing. It's the sinker, it's the cutter, the slider, the get-me-over curve. Fastball's not quite the same, but veteran leadership. We've talked yesterday a lot about Roy Halladay and what he meant to this Toronto Blue Jay staff. Same goes for Andy Pettitte here in the Yankee rotation. And the last thing was last hurrah. Is this the last we'll see of Andy Pettitte in Major League Baseball? He was contemplating retirement this winter. Got another contract to pitch one more season, and really, when I think of the Torrey years, the dynasty years, that 13-year run, Andy Pettitte was right in the middle of it and a big part of it.
Swing and a miss from Aaron Hill. No balls, 2 strikes on Aaron. Facing Andy Pettitte, who's now 36 years old. Aaron's off to a torrid start. A home run last night, is 9th. He's hit safely in 8. That's Scutaro at first. The 0-2 pitch is rolled to Rodriguez. He goes to second to get Scutaro, and that's the only play. So 1 down here in the bottom of the first as Alex Rios comes up. Alex, the number 3 hitter, as we look at the all-time victories against the Blue Jays. And Andy Pettitte is right there.
Oh, look at all those former Yankees up there. Mike Mussina, of course, he was a few there when he was with Baltimore Orioles, and Roger Clemens, of course. Yankees, Boston.
And Tim Wakefield, I noticed there with 16. There's a testament to.
Yeah, how about that?
The ageless knuckleballer.
Ageless knuckleball, yeah.
1 away, and Alex Rios takes it down and in.
Well, when I look at this Yankee lineup and this club that they've put together, I see a kind of a clash of the old regime versus the new regime. Kind of, you see some of these holdovers that Joe Torre had and that have signed these long-term contracts, and older roster mixed in with a few of these younger guys that Joe Girardi likes, that thinks that are part of their history going forward. But there's no question, this is still a very old team. And with old teams, you get injuries, and that's one of the reasons why the Yankees didn't make the playoffs last year, is they couldn't stay healthy.
3-0, ball 4. He loses Rios. 1 out and 2 on now. So Girardi has to be a tad uncomfortable with the fact that Pettitte's walked 2 of the 3 he's faced so far, and Vernon Wells, the center fielder, now bats for the Blue Jays. Vernon went hitless in the game last night, though he did draw a very big walk in the 4th inning and later scored. It turned out to be the game-winning run. So here he is, 1 away, bottom of the 1st inning. Men on 1st and 2nd. And the Blue Jays collectively have scorched the baseball with runners in scoring position, collectively a .306 average. Breaking ball, strike one.
There's that get me over curveball, that trademark of Andy Pettitte. Doesn't like to use it late in the count, but will use it early. Try to get a quick strike on the batter. That classic look too by Andy Pettitte with his glove over his mouth. He's always used that.
Rolled to third, backing up Rodriguez. They get one, but not the second. The ball gets away now from Teixeira, and look at Aaron Hill coming home to score. Heads up, base running gives the Blue Jays a 1-0 lead.
Well, this was a very poor decision by Robinson Cano on making this throw. There was no chance to get Vernon Wells in the double play, and he decides to give it a little quick wrist flip throw to second or to first base, and it was just unnecessary and cost him. Watch this ground ball. This is just simply going to be a force play at second base, and Vernon Wells was 4 steps beyond first. No need for this throw at all. Mental mistake by the Yankees.
And that looked to be all Aaron at third base. I'm not sure he was encouraged by Nick Leyva there. That seemed to be a decision he made on his own. What a smart ball player. He gives the Blue Jays the 1-0 lead. They've scored a run here without a hit. A couple of fielders' choices, 2 walks, and an error by the Yankees.
Yeah, it was a gimme run. I mean, Cano just threw it in the dirt. It was a gimme. As soon as that ball kicked away from Teixeira, I could have done 3 cartwheels and scored on that one coming home.
Here's the 1-0. You're sure 3?
Well, I might have had it done 1 and then sprinted. But point is, it was a gimme. It wasn't. It was a good base running, heads up by Aaron Hill, but it was more of a mistake by the Yanks.
The DH now, Adam Lind. And it seems, Darren, that Mr. Pettitte is having trouble throwing strikes early on.
There was a time earlier in his career where catcher would just set right up down the middle, and he'd throw 93, 94 mile an hour sinkers and cutters. And as he's aged, he's had to nibble more.
A strike, 3-1. There's a lone base runner. That's Wells at first. 2 away, 1-0 Toronto. Adam walked twice last night and scored once as Pettitte checks Wells at first. I'm going to repeat a statistic that I threw your way early last night. When the Yankees go an entire game without committing an error, they are 13-4. But when they do commit an error, at least one, they are now 2-13 on the year. All 4. For some reason, fielding errors come back to haunt the Yankees.
Well, let's just kick off the lights at the Rogers Center and shut her down. It's a W then. What you're saying?
Hey, I'm just giving out the factual information, Darren.
All right, boys, kick the lights. Game's over. It could be. Last night, you had mentioned that, and it's a simple game. You throw the ball, you hit the ball, you catch the ball.
Strike 1 to Scott Rowland, the number 6 hitter for the Blue Jays, who went 3 for 4 against A.J. Burnett a night ago after coming in 0 for 18 career against him. As Rowland so aptly put it after the game, I don't look at numbers. They don't mean much to me. I go up and I swing the bat. He certainly did in the game last night. He drove in 2 in the 4th inning with a double to left field, singled in the 6th, and then drove in the 5th run of the game in the 8th. In fact, his 8th inning single was the one that knocked Burnett out.
Yeah, I like that quote that he said. Just want a chance to compete.
0-1. Ripped foul.
And when you talk about veteran players, that's why I believe Roy Halladay last night wasn't going to get caught up in a he said, she said kind of match against A.J. Burnett versus Roy Halladay. These professionals, they just think about one thing, taking care of business, what they can control. That's throwing strikes, and Scott Rowland probably didn't even know the numbers. But if he felt, as a professional, if I'm doing my thing and putting on good swings, I'm going to have a chance to compete and help the club.
Here's the 2-strike pitch, grounded right back to Pettit, and he makes a nice play. He gets rolling at first. The Blue Jays don't get a hit, but they do score a run, and after one, lead the Yankees 1-0. You're watching Blue Jays baseball on Rogers Sportsnet. Was LCD TV. All you have to do is go to sportsnet.ca/baseball game and launch it right now. Back inside Rogers Center here in Toronto, a 1-0 Blue Jay lead. Slash to left center field, and Melky Cabrera turns on the Jets, heading for second base. And he puts on the brakes right after touching the bag. A double to lead off the second for Cabrera.
Melky Cabrera jumping on the first pitch. Look at this. He acts like he's going to fake like a bunt, actually steps forward in the box and slaps a double to left field. That was almost like vintage Tony Fernandez there.
Well, extra bases for Cabrera. And Brett Gardner, the center fielder. Ball one. This injury to Derek Jeter has really sent the lineup into a bit of a tizzy. The players like Gardner never really know when they walk into the clubhouse in the afternoon whether or not they're going to be in or not. A strained oblique muscle keeps Jeter from his second straight game. 1-0 pitch, a weak swing from Gardner, 1-1. So here's a young man getting an opportunity to play center field for the Yankees.
Well, he can fly. That's his thing. Really can run, this kid. Question is he going to hit enough to be able to stay in the big leagues?
He golfs this one to right field. He turns on that ball and hits it out toward the corner, and it is gone. A home run. My, oh my. I think your question was just answered, Darren.
He hit that one, didn't he? Brett Gardner, his first home run of the season. Looks like a slider that was left up, and he was able to pull his hands inside and get just enough of it. Look at this ball. Paint scraper right over the wall at 328.
That's his first big league home run, period.
Well, Richmond threw a couple breaking balls to him down and in. It looked, or the one breaking ball he had a weak swing on, and that one there was elevated.
And now Ramiro Pena comes up swinging, and it gets beyond Alex Rios, up against the wall. Pena's got tremendous speed, and here he goes, headed for third, and he's got a triple.
I think Pena missed first base. I think they've got to appeal first. I'm not too sure if Pena touched first base.
Here's Millar. Wait for the call. And clearly he did touch.
All right. Well, as he hits this ball, as he's going to round first, he didn't step on it completely. Yeah, I guess he did.
Seems he got his heel on there.
I saw it, and then I saw Kevin Millar pointing towards first base. He saw the same thing I did.
So the bottom of the order has really come to play here, and that one scoots away from Barajas. A double by Cabrera, a home run by Gardner, his first ever in the big leagues, and now a triple by Pena.
This bottom of the order, I think, is a hole too for the Yankees lineup. You think of the first four hitters: Jeter, Damon, Teixeira, Rodriguez.
Played by Rowland. That keeps Pena close to the bag. Cervelli's thrown out. One gone.
But it's the bottom of the order that is the hole. Able to produce tonight. Double, home run, triple.
Well, this team is dealing with a ton of injuries. We know that Jeter's out. Jorge Posada's missing. Jose Molina's missing. As that's rolled foul by Johnny Damon. Chin-Ming Wong is still suffering from the after effects of an injury he suffered running the bases in Houston last year. And he's been throwing in some rehab starts the last little while, so he's close to returning to their rotation. Infield is in here for Damon. 2-1 is the lead, New York. They've got a man at third. Damon struck out on a 3-2 slider in the first. And Nick Swisher is on deck. Two balls and a strike. Richmond needed 25 pitches in the first inning. That's one less than Roy Halladay needed in the first 3 last night. Add 10 more here in the second. And the 2-1 pitch. Line toward right field, and this is trouble for Rios. It's over his head too. Pena's in to score. 3-1. Damon heads for third. He's got a triple and has now hit safely in 9 straight games. In fact, he has 9 straight games with extra bases.
Well, it's the slider that he makes his money with, and it's the slider that they're hitting right now. That ball was hung. Brett Gardner's first home run was a hanging slider, and this one here is a one out over the plate, and Johnny Damon hits a triple. Arnsberg out there to talk to him about location. If you're going to throw that slider, you got to make sure that you bury it down. I suspect too that what Rod Barajas was talking about falling in love with the slider can be a problem with Scott Richmond, where he wants to throw it too much. He's still got a pretty good sinker too. Use the fastball to set up your breaking pitch, as opposed to just falling in love with it and throwing it every time you get into trouble.
Brian Wolf starts to warm in the bullpen. This has been a troublesome second for Scott Richmond, as it was on Friday in Oakland. So far for the Yankees, a double, 2 triples, and a home run. 3-1 New York. And here's Nick Swisher. Like Damon ahead of him, Swisher also struck out in the first inning. One and one. We talked about the Blue Jays being a home run hitting team. Well, New York has done them a little bit better. That shot by Gardner means the Yankees have hit 49 home runs so far this season, compared to 45 by the Blue Jays. Here is the 1-1 pitch off the plate. 2-1 on Nick Swisher. And trouble looms on deck, and Mark Teixeira. Alex Rodriguez would follow. So here's Richmond already down by 2, man at third, and the heart of the order is about to get a turn.
Well, he's gone change up, fastball away, and there was, instead of the slider, it was the bigger curve that he threw. When you're caught here, I think that you need to go after Nick Swisher. He's a better chance of a strikeout guy than Teixeira that's on deck.
Fastball count, and it's rolled to Hill. He looks back Damon and gets Swisher. So drawing the infield in really plays to the advantage of the Blue Jays there. And they get an important second out.
Well, he makes a nice pitch. It's a sinker away. It's in a hitter's count, 3-1. Nick Swisher tries to pull it, hits it off the end of the bat. It's a weak ground ball. That's a good indication too on how well a guy's stuff is moving. And when you get a fastball in a hitter's count, 3-1 count, and they're not able to center it, leads me to believe that he's got some good movement on the sinker. And I suspect that that's what Brad Arnsberg went out to the mound to talk to him about. Don't forget about your other pitches.
Here's the 0-1, smoke to center field. Wells turns, runs, leaps up, and it's over his head too. Damon is in. It's 4-1 for the Yankees. Teixeira brings him home. And Mark Teixeira, off to a very slow start, is 2 for 2 in this game.
Well, this is the 5th ball hit very hard this inning. It's a fastball that's away. Similar pitch that what Nick Swisher had, but Teixeira stays on it and drills a double over Vernon Wells' head. And that's a bit concerning for me, the fact that they're hitting him that hard. 5 just líneas in this inning.
And they're still without a cheapy single in the inning too. So far it's been nothing but extra base hits. Doubles from Cabrera and Teixeira, triples from Pena and Damon, and a home run by Brett Gardner. And so Alex Rodriguez wants in on the action. He's up now with 2 out and 1 on. 4 runs have scored for the Yankees here in the second inning.
Well, like you said, it was the second inning in the last start.
Word around the Yankees clubhouse is that Rodriguez isn't quite where he wants to be with respect to his timing, but I guess that's to be expected when you're coming back from surgery.
And coming back very quickly, I might add.
2-0 on Alex Rodriguez. Now 3-0. Richmond really danced around him in the first inning, eventually issuing a walk.
Now he's got a base open here and a 3-0 count to A-Rod. I'd be very surprised if this pitch is anywhere near the strike zone. And I was wrong. I don't know if he's going to throw a 3-1 fastball. Okay, the 3-0 fastball, fine, he's taken, but I don't think you throw Alex Rodriguez a 3-1 fastball here with a man on second base. He's liable to tear down George Bell's sign up there in left field.
Well, let's see what he does. 3-1.
Yeah,
off the plate.
Yeah.
So Rodriguez walks for the second time. And the inning is extended. It's been a rough one so far for Scott Richmond. Two on and two out, and a 4-1 lead New York. There's Robinson Cano, the 9th hitter of the inning for the Yankees. One and one on Cano, who earlier on this year, from the 12th of April to the 2nd of May, enjoyed an 18-game hitting streak. He's got a chance here to extend the lead for the Yankees. 1-1. It's outside. 2 balls and a strike.
Richmond's just not comfortable with his stuff tonight. He's fidgeting. He's rubbing the ball up. He's moving around a little bit. You can tell he's uncomfortable. He's not throwing a lot of strikes. And the strikes that he has thrown have been hit hard. So his confidence is a little rattled this inning for sure.
When we talk about hitting streaks, if you haven't heard, Ryan Zimmerman's came to an end today. He tried to extend it to 31 games in an afternoon game against San Francisco. So it ends at 30. Still awfully impressive for the third baseman with the Washington Nationals. Two and two is the count on Robinson Cano, who calls time. Checks the count, in fact, with Chuck Merriweather, home plate umpire. Here she comes, and it's fought off into the seats and left. Scott Richmond, 4-1 on the year. He's averaging about 7 runs per game of support. He's been the winner in a couple of blowouts. He's also won some close games. Once against Texas, then again against Baltimore. Here's the breaking ball up 3-2.
Well, this is the pitch. If he gives up a hard hit shot here, a double in the gap, he may be out of the game. Big out for Scott Richmond if he's got a chance to keep on pitching in this game and have a similar outing like he did in Oakland, where he's able to put behind him a bad inning and move forward. But this is it.
The runners go. Here it comes, and it's fouled off Barajas's mask. What's that feel like?
Feels like you lost a couple chiclets. Teeth, that is.
Yes, thank you.
That's why you wear it. Imagine in 1880 when they didn't wear a mask, or it was like some sort of old leather thing they put over your head. But Robinson Cano has missed a couple pitches here. He had a 2-2 pitch. There was a slider he missed, and that fastball there he missed.
Here comes the payoff again. Runners go, and again it's taken out of play.
Those balls are catching a lot of the plate, and Robinson Cano is not centering them. I think Scott Richmond is shaking his head and going, I got to get the ball down. I got to get this thing working down in the zone. I'm up.
This has been a long, drawn-out top of the second for the Yankees. 3-2 again, and once again, Cano gets a piece. Five pitches to this point fouled off by Cano. You've got Teixeira up at second. Alex Rodriguez, who walked for the second time, standing at first. And Richmond really laboring through this second. And because Cano's not ready, he's going to take a respite and walk off the mound for a minute.
Cano has seen every pitch. He's seen the changeup, he's seen the sinker, he's seen the curve and the cutter, and he's been able to at least get a pitch on everything so far. As a former catcher, I always felt that was a dangerous predicament that the pitcher was in. He's seen everything, he's fouled everything off. Good time for something out of the zone. Slider in the dirt, kind of in a swing mode right now where he's every pitch he's seeing, he's taking a cut out. Let's see if Richmond will put the ball down out of the strike zone.
Throw to second. Not in time to get to Teixeira, though.
That's a good idea by Marco Scudero and Richmond. 3-2 count, knowing the runners are moving. Go ahead and try to take a shot and get a quick out. Ooh, a lot closer than it appeared live.
There go the runners again on the ground, and that sneaks through. A valiant attempt by Millar. Here comes another run. Teixeira cashes, and it's 5-1. Could that be it for our starting pitcher tonight? Here comes Cito.
That's the right move. You could tell that Richmond didn't have it tonight. I felt up here from my vantage point that if he wasn't able to get Cano out, that was going to be it. And Cito and I were on the same wavelength there, I guess. Wasn't that tough to figure out, to be honest with you. The big comfy chairs tonight is a group called Park.
the Physical Activity Research Center, courtesy of TD Canada Trust. And Brian Wolf in long relief, trying to clean up the mess left by Scott Richmond, who has his shortest outing. Just an inning and 2/3 before he is knocked out by the Yankees. To this point, he's allowed 5 runs on 7 hits, and he leaves with runners at first and third. Wolf to face Melky Cabrera, who started this inning with a double to left center field. And so Wolf is well rested as he faces Cabrera. In fact, we haven't seen Brian pitch since he went 2/3 of an inning on Tuesday, May the 5th, over a week ago, in the final game of a homestand, one in which the Blue Jays defeated the Cleveland Indians with a 7-run 7th inning. 0-2.
Cito Gaston hasn't had to use the middle relief that often that year.
No.
Or this year. Not too many short outings by the starting rotation for the Blue Jays.
There's a ball. It's interesting that Wolf would come into this game with Alex Rodriguez standing at third, because Brian made his big league debut May 30th of 2007 in this ballpark, and watched as Alex Rodriguez headed around third and called off Howie Clark on a pop-up. Remember that one?
I do remember that one.
And Howie Clark thought it was John McDonald making the call, and he let the ball drop.
Right. Alex Rodriguez drew the attention of the Toronto Blue Jays. They wanted to.
He did. That was the inning in which Brian Wolf made his big league debut. Here he is again, 1-2. Let's take you back. May 30th, 2007. Posada pops it up. Howie Clark at third. And he heard footsteps, and he heard Alex Rodriguez too. And look at John McDonald coming in there. That was early enough in the season that things got a little testy later on. Runner goes from first, and it's sent foul. As I recall, the Jays didn't do anything about it on their first trip to New York.
Right.
And then I believe it was Josh Towers who threw at Rodriguez when the Yankees finally came back for the second series.
I do remember that. You figured they were going to get him at some point. Just wanted to pick their spot.
One and two on Cabrera. Cano breaks from first, and again a foul ball. The Yankees just refused to go away in this inning. They've managed 6 hits in the inning. 2 doubles, 2 triples, a single, and a home run. And it was Cabrera who started it with that fake bunt and then a slash to left center field. Fly to left field. Bautista over. And the top of the inning is over too. It's a good one though for the Yankees. 5 runs on 6 hits. They knock out Scott Richmond, and they're already into the bullpen. 100 out-of-market games live on your computer. For details, visit BlueJays.com, where baseball is always on. And there are some intriguing ball games going on outside Rogers Center this night. Dontrell Willis is back in the big leagues. He's starting for the Tigers at the Metrodome in Minneapolis in about 5 minutes' time. Here it's a 5-1 Yankee lead into the bottom of the second inning. Andy Pettitte has been sitting and watching as the Yankees kicked around Scott Richmond. 5 earned runs over 7 hits, an inning and 2/3, and he is out, the shortest outing of his big league career. So here in the second, Kevin Millar, the number 7 hitter, stands in against Pettitte. Rod Barajas is on deck, and he'll be followed by Jose Bautista. Two strikes on Millar and a chopper foul. Last night we rolled that highlight of A.J. Burnett's no-hitter 8 years ago, and Kevin Millar was part of that mob scene for the Florida Marlins.
Playing first base for Florida. When I think of Kevin Millar, though, I think of Boston Red Sox.
Cowboy up.
Cowboy up stuff.
Base hit Millar. Or is it? Oh, my, a leaping grab Pena. Wow. That was a floater.
Well, I'm with you, Jamie. I thought this was a base hit all the way. And look at this snow cone catch by Pena. Times he's jumped just right. Up in the air. Takes one away from Kevin Millar. Big smile on his face. Made a great play.
Great play indeed. Marcus Starr beside that one. My apology to Mr. Pena for assuming that ball was going to get over his glove. So here's Rod Barajas. And the Jays are still looking for their first hit. They managed to score a run in the first inning on a pair of fielder's choices, 3 Pettitte walks, and a throwing error by the second baseman Robinson Cano. One and one. And a blooper out toward center field brings Gardner in. He makes the catch. And there are 2 away.
That was a quick exit by Scott Richmond, and I suspect that a lot of people around Major League Baseball thought that that was going to be the theme for the Toronto Blue Jays pitching staff this year, and we haven't seen much of it.
No, we haven't.
If any. This is the first, I believe, the shortest outing of any starter this season.
It is, in fact. Excellent point.
When the predictions, all the talking heads on TV were talking Major League Baseball, the point of contention was starting pitching for the Toronto Blue Jays. Lost too much, too many people hurt. Going to rely on too many untested arms. You're going to see a lot of work by the middle relief. The bullpen is not going to pitch as well because they're going to be working too hard to soak up innings that the starting pitching can't finish. Hasn't been so.
And if anybody shocked people with his performance, it had to be Richmond, who up until last Friday was 4-0. He was named the Rookie of the Month for April and was rolling right along. But you had to know this kind of a start was going to happen at some point.
Sure. Happens to everybody. Question is, do you dwell on it? Or do you have a short memory, forget about it and go on? And I think that 29 years old Scott Richmond, I suspect, would you better shake it.
Charged by Pena. He slings it to first to get Bautista. And it's a 1-2-3 second inning for Andy Pettitte, whose Yankees lead this one 5-1 after 2. Casting a vote for people like Aaron Hill or Scott Rowland or Vernon Wells or Alex Rios. BlueJays.com has information, or go to MLB.com. You get a maximum of 25 votes per email address, so do it early and do it often. The All-Star game this year is in St. Louis on July the 14th. Here are the Yankees leading 5-1 in the third inning of play. Second game of a 3-game series between the Jays and the New Yorkers. Jamie Campbell is with Darren Fletcher. And Brian Wolf is on the hill, pitching in long relief. He gets a ground ball from Gardner, and he's thrown out 4-3. The series wraps up tomorrow night, and we'll be on the air at 6:30 with Jays Connected. CC Sabathia goes for the Yankees, and Brian Talent makes another start for the Blue Jays. Ramiro Pena, the number 8 hitter, steps in. He tripled in the second and scored. He was brought home by Johnny Damon's triple. And looks at a strike from Brian Wolf. The Blue Jays have decisions to make in the near future. Casey Jansen pitched at Double-A New Hampshire last night and pitched very well, we might add. So he's close to returning, though Cito Gaston said it probably would not be on this homestand. Here's the line from his start last night. Overall, in 18 innings of work split between Single-A Dunedin and Double-A New Hampshire, Jansen has allowed just 2 earned runs over 18 innings. And tonight, Ricky Romero makes his second rehab start with the New Hampshire Fisher Cats. Swing and a miss, quite obviously, as Pena almost trips out of the box, and a strikeout for Brian Wolf.
It will be interesting to see what they're going to do with some of these guys when they start getting healthy.
I don't know who it was that said this, but somebody today said that this is as thin as the Blue Jays rotation will be this year. The way things are going now with
good point.
Essentially 3 rookies and a left-handed reliever supporting Roy Halladay. Rolled to third. Scott Rowland picks it up and throws out Cervelli. Brian Wolf gets a 1-2-3 third. At first, Darren, I thought they were going to open the roof for this one.
I did too. It was a beautiful day here in Toronto.
But then I heard Aaron Hill say, please don't. I think he likes hitting with it closed.
A lot of guys do. Now, when I played here, I enjoyed it open. Thought the atmosphere was nice with the CN Tower in the background. And for me, the ball carried very well down the lines. I thought the ball shot out pretty well right down the left and right field line.
Well, Brett Gardner proved that in the second inning with his home run down into the right field corner, part of a 5-run second for the Yankees, and they have a 4-run lead as we hit the bottom of the third. Scutaro, Hill, and Rios coming up. Andy Pettit has allowed just the 1 run. It was unearned. He issued a walk to Scutaro in the first inning. Ground ball, and that gets down the line in a hurry. Scutaro turns for second. Up quickly is Cabrera. Here's the throw in, and the ball gets away. So Marco has a double. That's his 6th of the year.
He's been a catalyst for this club early on, getting on base, seeing a lot of pitches, getting a lot of extra base hits. Let's see if the offense can return the favor. The young pitchers have done a nice job of keeping them in the ball game. Let's see if the offense for the Toronto Blue Jays can come back on the Yanks here. Still very early, just the bottom of the third, and with their explosive offense leading the league in runs scored and average, this ball game's by no means over.
One and 0 on Aaron Hill. That's in the dirt, 2-0. This much is certain where Pettit is concerned. He has not been throwing strikes consistently. He walked 3 in the first inning. Falls behind the number 2 hitter here.
That Pettit got hit hard in the second half of the season last year. Had a very good first half, but the second half was not good at all.
2-0. Scorched foul by Hill. And it was rather a pedestrian season for Pettit, who finished the year 14-14 and an ERA at 4.5. Tonight he makes his 350th start as a Yankee. And remember, he spent 3 years with the Houston Astros, 2-1. And Aaron Smarting, that one is fouled right off his foot.
Andy Pettit throws a lot of these cutters down and in to right-handed batters, and looks like this one here he hits off of his back knee.
We mentioned Ricky Romero pitched tonight for New Hampshire. Here's his line: 5 1/3, allowing just 1 earned run. Now he walked 5. But Ricky is clearly close. He's been sidelined for some time now with a strained oblique muscle. And on that note, George Poulos is out to talk with Aaron Hill just to make sure everything's okay.
Let's see where this ball catches Aaron Hill. I think it's his back knee. Slider cutter thing coming in. No, it's his
left shin.
Yep, his front shin. Lead foot shin.
2-2 off the plate. A full count now on Hill. Alex Rios is on deck for the Jays. Scutaro at second with a leadoff double. The Jays trail it by 4. This game certainly doesn't have the flow of last night's. I figure
well,
at this time last night we were about the 7th inning.
We were. Both teams were swinging at pitches early on, and really the first 3 innings last night's ball game, Doc couldn't have used but 30 pitches, and A.J. Burnett was pitching well. It wasn't until it hit the brakes a bit in the 4th inning when Burnett had a bit of a rough inning. But after that, all totaled, Blue Jay win, 2 hours and 15 minutes. In this game here, you might as well throw a tarp over it because it's in a rain delay.
In a dome, no less. That's the beauty of baseball, though.
Yep,
you can get 9-inning games that go 2 hours and 15 minutes, and 9-inning games that go 4 hours and 20. Because of battles like this one, Hill keeps fighting off 3 2s from Pettit. This is very similar to the at-bat that Robinson Cano had against Scott Richmond in the 2nd before he singled. 8 pitches total in this at-bat, 5 of them fouled away by Hill. So Pettit now ready for pitch number 9. Wave and a miss, and he catches Hill swinging on what would have been ball 4.
Well, Pettit kept feeding Aaron Hill, slider down and in, slider down and in. And this one here was the bigger breaking ball that was a backdoor pitch that he started away and brought down. Aaron Hill didn't have one of his better efforts on that swing. Appeared to me that he wasn't too comfortable in the box after fouling that ball off his front shin.
Alex Rios walked in the 1st inning. He's back for a 2nd time against Pettit. Alex Rios bobblehead day is coming up on Sunday, presented by Federal Express. First 10,000 fans in the building receive the Alex Rios bobblehead doll. Did you see how cheeky our statistician Scott Carson can be there?
I did not.
He just dropped one of his graphics that said that there was 1 pitch in the at bat to this point. Pettit versus Rios. Because of all the pitches we talked about in the battle with Aaron Hill.
Right.
He just wanted to remind us that Pettit had only thrown 1 to Alex Rios, who not long ago was a Yankee killer, in fact.
Yes,
last year, August the 19th, Alex went 0 for 4 against the Yankees, snapping what was then a 26-game hit streak against New York. That was the longest by anybody since Detroit's Charlie Gehringer had 31 between 1935 and 1936.
That was an awesome run.
26 games. He'd like to get one here just to keep the line moving and give Vernon Wells a chance. Vernon's on deck. One away, Scudero at 2nd. And the home side is trailing by 4 here. 2-2. And that's down for ball 3.
Andy Pettit is just not going to give in. There was a time, like I said earlier, that he would throw the sinker down the middle of the plate and let you beat it into the ground. But like I said, as he's aged, he's nibbled a little bit more, pitching a little bit more. Still not going to give Alex Rios a good pitch to hit here. 3-2, even up 5-1. He'll make him hit a pitcher's pitch.
And it sets again. Here it comes to Rios, and it's rolled out to Rodriguez at third. He throws out Rios. 2 gone here in the 3rd inning. Pettit gets the ground out. This game, like tomorrow's, will be available on Rogers Sportsnet. That's a handmade sign. Well done, people. That gets 2 thumbs up from Darren Fletcher. Here's Vernon again. Throw down to second, and Scudero was caught off the bag. A-Rod's there to apply the tag, and he's gone. Cervelli with the bullet down to second. Scudero had no other choice but to head for third, and he is thrown out, and that ends the inning.
Marco Scudero looked like he was just caught off the bag for the 3rd out.
And it begins at 10 Eastern time. So that is tomorrow after Blue Jays baseball. And then the first game comes your way on Friday, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. Kelowna takes on host Rimouski. And Peter Labardius and Sam Cosentino will be on hand to call all the action for you of the Memorial Cup here on Rogers Sportsnet. So it's Kelowna and Rimouski in the first game. Drummondville and Windsor will also take part in this year's tournament. You can see it all next week on Rogers Sportsnet. 1-0 here to Johnny Damon, who hammers that one. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
That's Mick Kelleher, the first base coach for the Yankees.
Look out, Mick. Johnny Damon testing those reflexes down at first base.
I just had that Tommy Lasorda scene flash through my head from the All-Star game in 2002. Remember when Lasorda went head over tea kettle?
Yeah.
On the third base side?
That was a life alert, falling and I can't get up.
Yes. Damon, the first batter here. He's going to be a free agent this year. And he's not sure his future lies with the Yankees as much as he would like to stay on with New York. Slashes that one down the line. A fair ball. It just kisses the line. Takes a big hop played by Bautista, and Damon has a double. Boy, he is scorching the ball in the series. 2 for 3 tonight.
He is. He's hitting the ball very well. I talked to him before last night's ball game about his big numbers this past week. earned himself the American League Player of the Week, and was working with the hitting coach, and he said balance was the biggest thing. He found something that he was sliding his hips underneath a little bit, felt like he had too much weight on his front foot. Trying to establish a little bit more balance in the batter's box through his swing. Always been a very good professional hitter.
Well, he has about 2,300 career hits in the big leagues, and figures that another 5 years or so might get him to the 3,000 hit club. Swing and a miss from Swisher, and you know, it wasn't that long ago that getting 3,000 hits in the major leagues locked you into Cooperstown.
Sure.
And I don't know about you, but I don't look at Johnny Damon and see Hall of Famer. He's had a great career, no question about that.
He's got a World Series, one World Series ring in Boston.
Yes.
That always bodes well, but 3,000 hits, he's going to get some votes.
0-2 to Swisher, played by Millar.
Well, I remember the time that Johnny Damon, I think it was '99, we opened up a 4-game series against the Kansas City Royals when Damon was playing for the Royals, and he was, the first 3 games he was like 0 for 12. And the 4th game, a Sunday day game, he comes up to the plate, and written on his bat is some eyes with glasses on it in Sharpie, and he says, "Hey, Fletch, I think my bat can't see."
You remember what he went that night?
He got a couple hits.
Yeah.
Yeah, he reminded me of that story when I was talking to him around the batting cage yesterday. One of the game's good guys.
Certainly is. That cannot be disputed. He's standing at third for Mark Teixeira, who is 2 for 2. He's singled and doubled. He's scored a run, driven in 1, 2, so the average now over 200 at 205. 3 infielders stack the line on the right side as Rolen holds Damon close, and that's why he's a pull hitter from time to time.
Interesting shift. You've got the infield in, but 3 infielders on the right side of the infield. When you got a hard-hitting left-handed hitter like Mark Teixeira up there, and you're like Millar, Hill, and Scudero playing infield in, you're a little bit nervous. You can get a hard hit shot here. You may have to sacrifice your chest to knock it down. It's not that comfortable of a feeling playing that close to this type of hitter.
Here's Wolf on the 2-2. Down and away, ball 3. Damon started the inning with a double. He moved over on the ground out by Swisher. Teixeira up there now. Alex Rodriguez is on deck. He's walked twice. Brian Wolf on the hill with a payoff to Teixeira. Here it comes, and it's in the air to center field. This is enough to score Damon, and the Yankees lead 6-1. Get him on, get him over, and get him in. The Yankees do just that, and now Teixeira has 2 RBIs.
Well, Teixeira's had a good night. Hit the ball hard 3 times. Sacrifice fly there.
A-Rod has walked on 2 occasions. He missed this team's first 28 games after he underwent arthroscopic surgery in early March to repair a right hip labrum.
It'll be interesting to see if A-Rod can play at that high level that is expected of him with this injury. Coming back very quickly from this type of hip injury. A lot of pressure on third base, always in that squat position. Of course, the hitting too. Playing an infield position takes its toll over time on your legs as a player.
I think the initial sting of his steroid revelation in the offseason is that they knew they had a player who was under contract until the end of 2017. He's going to be with this organization another 8 years as that misses inside 2-2. And the feeling was, will he break down with age if he in fact was on stuff prior and isn't on it now? Can he maintain the kind of pace he's had in the last couple of years? Will he be a public relations disaster? Here's the 2-2. Breaking ball fouled away because, as you well know, he was scorched repeatedly in the newspapers in New York after he came clean.
Yeah, me sitting at home, I applauded Alex Rodriguez for coming clean. A lot of guys just kind of sweep it on the rug and say, no, 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 no. A-Rod said, yeah, I did it. I did it between these times. I'm sorry. Let's move on. And I thought, I liked the way that he went about it. Didn't lie about it. He's going to just take it like a man. Whatever comes his way, comes his way. This thing here, you can't argue, though. He's probably the best player in the game right now. Really is. That year that he had in 07 was just phenomenal. Maybe the best year I've ever seen a guy have at third base.
Two and two. Swing and a miss. Wolf strikes him out. The Yankees get one, though, and they extend their lead to now 6-1. And so we head for the bottom of the fourth inning. Vernon Wells comes back up for the Blue Jays. You are watching Blue Jays baseball on Rogers Sportsnet.
Zone. Log on to BlueJays.com for your chance to win an all-expense-paid trip to see the Jays in comfort. TD Canada Trust, putting you in the comfort zone.
We're back underway here in Toronto. This is Jamie Campbell with Darren Fletcher. The Yankees have a 6-1 lead on the Blue Jays. Bottom of four, Vernon Wells is up. He takes that ball high from Andy Pettitte. We'd like to send out an early birthday wish tonight to Boris Morden, who turns 100 on Friday. Boris lives in Brampton. And a happy 70th to Bill Cornish, who's watching tonight in Port Perry, Ontario. 2 balls and a strike on Wells, who reached on a fielder's choice in the first inning. He sends that ball out of play. 2-2. One of the reasons the Blue Jays have been so successful this year is that everybody has stayed healthy, at least positionally, as Wells strikes out. You remember Vernon was hit with a mild strain of his left hamstring in spring training, and there were questions as to whether or not he would start the year with his team.
Right. And that's always the unknown when you face a season. Can we stay healthy? Can all the troops that we line up out there be the same ones at the end of the year? And about every season, you're going to have to deal with the adversity of injury. Yankees had it last year and having it again this year, and they weren't able to make the playoffs for the first time in 13 years. And like we've been talking about, the injury bug bit the starting rotation pretty hard for the Toronto Blue Jays, and they've been able to summon up some young players and fill the gap.
This ball rolled to first. Teixeira steps on the bag. Lind is gone. 2 out. Out in the Blue Jay bullpen, the left-hander Bill Murphy starts to warm. And Cito Gaston tonight is working with the benefit of a well-rested bullpen because, as you know, Roy Halladay went the distance last night. They had a day off Monday. And in Sunday's start against Oakland, Brett Cecil went 8 innings. And Jason Frazier and Jesse Carlson were used very briefly in the 9th in that game. So it won't be a problem to piece together pitchers after Richmond went out early. And this ball's rolling down the line, picked up by Pettit, and he's shaking his head. Scott Rowland on with an infield single. Do you think this might have rolled foul if he lets it go?
I believe it does. It's a responsibility of the catcher to read the spin of the baseball, and Cervelli jumps out there, and Andy Pettit just decides to pick it up quickly. I don't know what he was thinking. There was no sense in really picking that ball up. If he picks it up then, he's still going to be safe. He might as well just gamble and hope it goes foul. So there's no way at that point that you're going to throw out Scott Rowland.
Foul tip from Millar, 0-1. So the Blue Jays on that little squib have just their 2nd hit of the night. And now Millar, who lined out to Pena in the 2nd, awaits the 0-1 pitch. It's down and in. Another foul tip, 1-2. By no means has Pettit looked outstanding tonight. And really the error by Robinson Cano in the first undermined Pettit's outing in that inning, as the Blue Jays scored an early run and took the lead.
The 3 walks by Andy Pettit. Blue Jay fans thought maybe they could get to him early, but he was able to bend but not break, only giving up that one unearned run. But this is what good pitchers do. They don't give you anything to hit. He stays away if you're going to play the compare and contrast game between Andy Pettit and Scott Richmond tonight. Scott Richmond tried to come out and pound the strike zone, but he left too many pitches out over the plate. Fastballs and breaking balls. Just too many good pitches to hit. Yankees take advantage of it. And you watch Andy Pettit pitch here. It's a strike here, then a ball, and a nibble here. Pitching a lot like the way Tom Glavine used to pitch towards the end of his career. On the corner. Even in hitters' counts, not throwing a fastball even close.
3 balls and 2 strikes. Rod Barajas on deck for the Jays. Rolling at first. 2 away in the inning. The payoff hammered and foul. Andy Pettitte on the hill, making his 35th career start against the Blue Jays. He's beaten them 17 times. Hasn't won a game this year since the 21st of April when he defeated the Oakland A's over 7 innings. Here's the 3-2, and that rolls foul as well. Among active major league pitchers, he ranks 4th in victories with 217. About to throw his 76th pitch of the game. Here it is, up for ball 4. So after all that, he walks Millar and puts 2 on for Rod Barajas. And again, we're presented with a situation here where one swing puts the Blue Jays right back in this game.
And Andy Pettitte is aware of that. Rod Barajas has got some power numbers this year. Good low ball hitter. Spot that Andy Pettitte could get hurt here is if he leaves that little cutter that he likes to use to the right-hand batters out over the plate and down. See Rod Barajas try to golf it out.
That's in the dirt. Cervelli's out to get it.
Well, there's that pitch, but Pettitte made that pitch really low. He wasn't going to miss down and over the strike zone. He missed down in the dirt.
Rod has 3 home runs this year. 2 of them came in the same game against Texas, April 22nd. Both were 2-run shots. He hit another 2-run shot this week in Oakland against Josh Outman. And he heads this one to center field. That's a base hit for Barajas. Roland comes rounding third. Here's the throw in, cut off. And the Blue Jays make it a 6-2 game. RBI number 20 for Barajas this year.
Well, Pettitte has to come to him after a breaking ball that was in the dirt. Goes to the fastball away, and Barajas stays with it. Base hit to center field, scoring Scott Rowland for his 20th ribby. Some pretty good production by the catcher.
Two on and 2 out for Jose Bautista. Playing left field tonight with the left-hander on the mound. First pitch from Pettitte is low and inside, 1-0. Bautista's lone home run this year was a solo shot in the 9th and a blowout of the White Sox on the 24th of April. The Jays won that game 14-0. Bautista became the 12th different Blue Jay to that point in the year to hit a home run. That catches the strike zone 1-1.
Bautista's hit Andy Pettitte well too over his career. 6 for 17 with a home run.
Millar's on second. Barajas at first. And that scorcher is picked up by Pena, and he drops the baseball. It rolls out into shallow center, and everybody's safe. It was hit on the screws.
Hit on the screws, but a ball that Andy Pettitte would expect had been the 3rd out of the inning. Hit hard, and Pena just missed it. Looked like he was trying to make the transfer to make the flip to second base. He'd never had it in his glove.
So the Yankees tonight commit their second error, charge one to Pena, load up the bases for Marco Scutaro, and just like that, the potential tying run comes to the plate. The Jays are down by 4, and there's a strike on Scutaro. Marco tonight is 1 for 1. He walked in the first inning and then doubled to left in the third. This crowd certainly lighter than last evening's. Finally has a reason to get into this one. Pitch, skied to center field. Gardner's got speed. He's there and makes the catch. And the Blue Jays leave the bases loaded here in the 4th inning. They get one, make it a 6-2 lead, New York. Sabathia against Brian Talent. While you're at it, perhaps think about either group tickets, come on down with a large group of people, or a flex pack, which means you can pick up a bunch of different games for the rest of the season. More information can be found at BlueJays.com as Bill Murphy, the left-hander, comes out of the bullpen. He'll take over for Brian Wolf, who went 2 1/3.
Yeah, Bill Murphy, recalled by the Toronto Blue Jays from Las Vegas when Jesse Litch went on the 15-day disabled list, pitching very well out of the bullpen.
And John McDonald is the new second baseman. And that's not a good sign, because as we know, we saw Aaron Hill when he came up in the 3rd inning take a cutter in and foul it off his left shin, and he was walking around gingerly.
And then the swing that he had on the slider down and away that he struck out on looked like he was favoring his leg, so he's got a boo-boo.
Here's hoping, if it is a boo-boo, it's not a serious one.
No, it's not one.
Because few would question that Aaron Hill this year has been the Blue Jays' most valuable position player.
I'm sure that he's got a pretty good bump on his shin, and when you've got that type of contusion on your leg and you're a right-handed hitter, you put a lot of weight on your left foot, and it's tough to hit that way.
Cano goes the other way, and that's over the head of Bautista. He plays it off the wall. Cano's into second, and he follows up that 2nd inning single with a double here in the 5th. Boy, the Yankees have picked up plenty of hits against Jays pitching so far tonight. That's 9.
Yeah, and they've hit the ball very hard tonight too. This ball is hammered to left field, stayed on top. Several balls tonight have been this second stager where they're hit hard and then they just continue to take off.
And that brings Melky Cabrera back to the dish. Melky hit twice in the second inning and went 1 for 2. He chops at that baseball. It's a strike. We last saw Bill Murphy on Thursday night at Angels Stadium. He took over for Robert Ray and finished up the loss to the Angels, and did so with friends and family watching, because Bill is from the Anaheim area.
He's been a nice addition to the bullpen. He's only given up 2 hits.
Here's the 1-1, and yet he might be the first guy to go when B.J. Ryan is brought north. Word is that Ryan is soon to finish his rehab and will make it back to the major league roster. Here's a chopper to third. Roland looks back the runner and throws out Cabrera at first. And the big news coming out of yesterday's ball game was that when Ryan returns, he will not be the closer of this team. He loses his job in that respect. They're going to keep Scott Downs in that position, and then I guess at some point work Ryan back in, but he'll be pitching, you know, to this point in an unspecified situation, whether it's 8th inning setup man, I have not spoken to BJ. I don't know if there have been any quotes appearing in the local newspapers, but certainly based on his reaction in spring training when he was asked whether or not he would feel uncomfortable about not starting the year as the closer with this club, he said, yes, I would, essentially.
Well, that's been his role for a long time in his big league career, as he's been a stopper. He was signed to be the closer here. He was the closer in Baltimore, saved a lot of ball games, but needs to recapture some of that velocity. And I believe in spring training the pitching coach and the manager saw some of the velocity went down. I want to see it pick back up. He's going to start running it up there around 90 miles an hour. He's pitching around 85, 86, and when he was here, he got hit a bit, but he very deceptive. I wouldn't count him out. I think he's going to play a big part in the bullpen.
2-2 on Gardner. Here was the direct quote. It's an uncomfortable question with a lot of uncomfortable answers when he was asked on the 30th of March if he had contemplated the idea of Scott Downs being the closer of this team. Here it's another lefty, Bill Murphy, with a 2-2, and it's golf to center field. And that one is beyond the reach of Vernon Wells, and Gardner is steaming around second base. Cano is in to score. Another triple for the Yankees. Give them 3 tonight and give them a 7-2 lead.
Brett Gardner having a good night tonight. Hit his first home run of the season off Scott Richmond. Curveball down and in. Watch this guy get around the bases in a hurry. For most men, this is just a stand-up double, but check out how quick he gets around from home to third.
And now he has the 2 toughest aspects of the cycle out of the way already. A home run and a triple. His first 3-bagger of the season. That brings the infield in for Ramiro Pena, the shortstop. 1 away, 5th inning. And a strike from Bill Murphy.
Well, getting back to the B.J. Ryan thing, I think there's too many positive things that are happening right now on this Toronto Blue Jay club. I don't really see it being that big of a deal if he comes back and not in the stopper spot. Scotty Downs is very capable of doing the job out of there too.
Not that big of a deal to everybody except perhaps Ryan himself, though he maintains, Cito Gaston in fact maintains, that Ryan is fine with that assignment if that's what it comes to. And if that's the case, that's good news. Because with the Blue Jays playing so well, you wouldn't want him to come back feeling,
no,
I don't know, out of place, disgruntled.
No, he'll accept it.
Swing and a miss, and Pena strikes out. And does so for the second time tonight. That's Bill Murphy's first K of this game. And it brings up the catcher, Francisco Cervelli. Cervelli is Venezuelan born, but he was part of that Italian team that upset Canada at the World Baseball Classic right here at Rogers Center about 2 months ago.
Didn't Marco Scudero have an opportunity to play for the Italian team too?
He may have. He ended up playing for Venezuela.
Right.
But I believe his father is from Italy. Swing and a miss. Cervelli hit 8th in that game, a 6-2 win over Canada. Started his first big league game here last September and caught the Yankees on the night that Roy Halladay won his 20th. And he waves at that one. A ball and 2 strikes.
Bill Murphy showing off that good changeup to right-handed batters, turning the ball over.
Gardner's at third after the triple. The 1-2 pitch is on the way. Cervelli doesn't fish there. So it's 2-2. The Yankees scored 5 times in the second and knocked Scott Richmond out. They got a run in the 4th and another here in the 5th inning and lead 7-2. Gardner's down the line at third. Here's the breaking ball up and away. 3-2. Pitch on the way. A diving stop by Rowland from his knees. Not in time. And Cervelli has a base hit and an RBI. Gardner's in. It's now 8-2 New York.
Nice stop by Scott Rowland, but Cervelli runs very well for a catcher. Got down the line quickly. Rowland dived to his glove side.
Here's Johnny Damon again. And so Francisco Cervelli has his very first big league RBI. Makes it an 8-2 lead, New York. Damon is 2 for 3. He's doubled and tripled. One-two pitch up high. We talked about the decision Damon has to make at the end of the year. As a free agent, he knows that Nick Swisher and Brett Gardner and Melky Cabrera, all outfielders, are all under contract for next year. Yankees have a good prospect named Austin Jackson coming up too. And so perhaps this is his final year with New York.
Well, he won't be drawing unemployment very long.
No. He's dancing in that batter's box. Runner goes from first. And the appeal. And he goes around. So it's a strikeout for Murphy. But the Yankees pick up 3 hits here in the 5th inning and score twice on the left-hander and extend their lead. It's now 8-2 New York. You're watching Blue Jays baseball on Rogers Sportsnet. Those who sign up for the Ladies Night Out section receive a pink Blue Jay cap, and one lucky fan wins a $300 shopping spree at Jay's shop. So call the number in the morning, 416-341-1304, or check BlueJays.com for information. That was at one time Sam Cosentino's favorite night of the month.
What are you saying?
Well, they scrapped the post-game party. As John McDonald, who takes over second for Aaron Hill, is the hitter facing Andy Pettitte here. This is just John's 11th at bat of the year. And he really has been a casualty of this great start by the Blue Jays. Cito Gaston keeps running out the same lineup day after day. And then, of course, massages it if there's a left-hander on the mound. And John McDonald, due essentially to the fine play of Marco Scutaro, has not had a start yet. And he chops this one to short. Pena's up and over to first. And McDonald is retired for the first out. Now, if you've just tuned in and you're wondering why is McDonald in at second base, we take you back to Aaron Hill's at bat in the 3rd. And a pitch inside that he fouls off his left shin just above his left foot. And as you sort of pointed out, he did not look right the rest of the way.
Yeah, rest of the bat, he looked like he was uncomfortable and didn't want to put any weight on his front foot.
Here's a bouncer that is misplayed by Pena. He got to the ball but couldn't glove it. And so Alex Rios is on with a base hit.
Now, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the Aaron Hill contusion to the shin is not a big thing.
Day to day.
Yeah, day to day.
Wells flies to center field. 2 away. The Yankees lost the opener.
And how about this, Jamie? Riding the ship. Andy Pettitte, as a Yankee, is 76-41, a winning percentage of .650 following a Yankees loss. So how about righting the ship for the New York Yankees? Lose the night before, send Andy Pettitte to the mound the next night. Very good opportunity for a win. Numbers say they win 650 percentage points every time.
Interesting statistics, Darren. Remember the one I floated near the beginning of this game, that when the Yankees commit an error, they are 2-13 on the year. They've committed 2 of them tonight.
Well, Pettitte has pitched well. He pitched out of that jam in the 4th inning, bases loaded, 2 outs. Gets Marco Scutaro to fly out to center field. Scutaro comes up with a double there. It's a little different ball game, but he holds him there. Yankees come back, score 2 in the top of the 5th. Big swing.
1-1 now on the DH Adam Lind, who's gradually getting used to being a designated hitter. As he said to me before the ball game, it might add about 3 or 4 years to my life, not having to crash into walls and catching balls in left field. He sends that one foul. He's awfully young to be an everyday DH, though, isn't it? Really, it is. It's that position that is traditionally held for the aging slugger.
It is.
But you've got Travis Snyder here. Right. They want to play him every day. And so there's no room for 2 people in left field. Numbers wise, he has not disappointed them. 1 and 2. That's on the ground. Cano at second. Throws to Teixeira. Lind is gone. And the Blue Jays here in the 5th inning get a hit but leave him on base. Andy Pettitte through 5 has held the Jays to 2 runs on 4 hits.
Home Hardware and Home Hardware Building Center. Homeowners helping homeowners.
The Yankees are in Toronto for the first time. The Blue Jays won the opener last night. New York in command here after 5, 8-2. Bill Murphy continues to pitch for the Blue Jays. He gave up 2 runs on 3 hits in the 5th, then faces Swisher, Teixeira, and Rodriguez here in the 6th inning. I'm Jamie Campbell with Darren Fletcher. It's good to have you watching tonight on Rogers Sportsnet. Here's the switch hitter, Nick Swisher, who turns around to face the lefty Murphy. Nick Swisher is kind of like the Kevin Millar of the New York Yankees.
Yeah, fun guy.
Yeah, the kind of guy who gives you the impression that he feels he's just stealing money playing this game for a profession.
Well, he's enjoyed it the way you should go about playing the game of baseball.
Had some decent years with the Oakland A's. Found himself traded to Chicago last year for a package of players that included Ryan Sweeney. And now involved in a trade again. He ends up with the Yankees. Strike one. Grounds the ball to short. Scudero to his left. Throws to Millar to get Swisher. So we finally see the Yankees here in town. The Blue Jays don't actually get to New York, believe it or not, until the 3rd of July. So it will be a while until they see the new Yankee Stadium.
Well, that'll be a fun series.
Yes,
4th of July in the States.
I am told, yes, it will. I am told the clubhouse, the Yankee clubhouse, is 25,000 square feet.
Well, you're used to that. I mean, that's what you got to place out in Mississauga, right? That big?
Not likely, Fletcher. Come on. I don't live in Mississauga.
Oh,
nice try. Every stall in the clubhouse has a computer with high-speed internet. They have private underground parking and private elevators for the players.
Private elevators.
Private elevators.
Didn't know that. And in the, you say in their individual lockers, they have a video screen, computer screen,
and high-speed internet. A one-hopper there to third. Roland throws out to Shera. 2 gone here in the 6th inning. Did you like playing at the old place, old Yankee Stadium?
Well, I enjoyed the history of it. I didn't particularly play well there myself. Their pitching staffs when I was with the Blue Jays were phenomenal, and I had a hard time hitting in that ballpark, but obviously it was a big thrill to go there and compete. The way it looks early on in this season, the ball is flying out of there at a regular basis. Watched a few games on TV. It looks like the ball really carries well to the gaps.
And that's why Damon, when asked about free agency next year, said, I'd love to continue playing with the Yankees because I just love that short porch in right field. As Alex Rodriguez steps in, 1-0, and there's a strike from Murphy. This has been a quiet crowd for the most part tonight until Rodriguez comes up to the plate, and then everything changes. For the most part, he got to fly under the radar in the opener with Burnett facing Halladay. But I guess he's going to have to get used to this at every visiting stadium. 2-1. Fastball misses.
Some guys thrive on that attention. Barry Bonds, I believe, loved it.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I think he really loved playing the villain when he went to visiting ballparks.
Ball 4. And he walks for a 3rd time tonight.
Some players can just feed off that energy, even though it's negative energy, but they can feed off of it. And it's that mindset of me versus the world can inspire some players.
Well, he's yakking with Kevin Millar over there. What else is new? Here's Cano. Robinson tonight, a single and a double. He's driven in one. He's scored one. The Yankees with 8 runs on 11 hits. Toronto has scored just twice on 4 hits against Andy Pettitte. A broken bat roller, and that one comes right back to the screen. And I speak of the barrel of the bat. The play is made to get the out at first. Hopefully everybody's okay there.
For your chance to win an all-expense-paid trip to see the Jays in comfort. TD Canada Trust, putting you in the comfort zone.
Here in the bottom of the 6th, here's Scott Rowland. First pitch to him from Andy Pettitte is strike 1. Tonight on Sportsnet, the Yankees lead the Blue Jays 8-2. Pettitte has not been masterful, but he's been good enough to keep the score down. Just 2 runs for the Jays on 4 hits. And he works to Rowland, Millar, and Barajas here in the bottom of the 6th inning. This series ends tomorrow. Brian Talbot is 2-1. He goes for the Blue Jays. CC Sabathia for New York. Please join us at 6:30 Eastern for Jays Connected. First pitch shortly after 7. It's been a good month so far for the Blue Jays. 8-3 coming into this game. As the ball sails out toward right field and drops, Rowland hits the bag at first and turns for second, and he's there with a stand-up double. So he continues to hit well against the Yankees in this series. 3 hits last night, 2 of them tonight.
A fastball inside, he gets jammed but places it well. Ball caroms away from the right fielder. Easy double for Scott Rowland.
Here's Kevin Millar now, who played for the Red Sox back in 04 when they found themselves in a 3-0 hole in the American League Championship Series and came back to win, advanced to the World Series, and defeated the St. Louis Cardinals.
That was an amazing series.
That was incredible.
Down 3-0. Big stolen base by Dave Roberts, I believe, to get in scoring position, and then a base hit. Yeah.
And Millar hits it in the air to left field. There's Cabrera making the out.
Hey, did you get a load of our umpire impersonators behind home plate on that foul ball?
I did.
Or on the
shattered
broken
bat?
Yeah,
the nose bat. They actually got the barrel. They managed to pull the barrel through the fence, and so they've got themselves a souvenir that also sort of qualifies as a dangerous weapon. And see, now he's smelling the pine tar.
Yeah.
I did that for about 2 weeks when I was a kid. I got a broken bat from Gary Gaetti in 1984. He was playing for the Minnesota Twins then.
Right.
And I remember going to school with pine tar on my hands.
Really?
Great smell.
Mom knocking on your door in the bedroom and say, Jamie, quit smelling the pine tar on that bat. What are you doing in there? Nothing, Mom.
What are you telling me? You got bored while you were playing and started sniffing pine tar? Well, it's a nice smell.
Yeah,
it's got a very Christmassy smell.
Yeah, it reminds you of baseball.
Yes,
I love it. I love the smell of it when I'm around the batting cage.
Man, you always steer those little stories into a weird direction, Fletcher. Wave and a miss. 1-1. Barajas with a base hit and 2 out in the 4th. Drove in Roland. And he lines this one to left. Cabrera is there. He catches it on the run and sends Roland back to second. There they were, so happy to get that barrel.
What do you think the conversation was like between these two before they came to the game? Hey, this is what we're going to do. I've got these umpire uniforms. We're going to come to the Blue Jay game. We're going to dress up. I'm going to get a mask. And we're going to sit right behind home plate.
I don't profess to know those guys, but I can tell you this. This is not the first time they've been there.
Really?
Wearing those uniforms. They sat in those seats for Brett Cecil's Major League debut a week ago Tuesday.
Really?
Yes. Wearing the same outfits.
Really? So they're repeat offenders.
Yes, they are. Jose Bautista facing Andy Pettitte. Bautista was the man picked up last year from Pittsburgh. The Blue Jays exchanged catcher Robinson Diaz. And he laces this one to center field, but it hangs up there for Gardner. And the Blue Jays in the inning hit the ball hard 4 times. Only one of them goes for a base hit. And the Capitals. At last check, we peered into one of the private boxes. They had the game on, and it was 6-2 Pittsburgh. Middle of the 3rd period. So it looks like the Penguins will advance there. They'll also tell you whether or not Ryan Zimmerman was able to hit for a 31st consecutive game. And take you around the big leagues. The Blue Jays started this game on top of the American League East by 1 game over the Red Sox, who are playing out in Los Angeles tonight. They've got a date with the Angels. There's a young man with good seats and a great smile. Any night's a good night to be at the ballpark, even when your team is losing. And in this case, the home side is trailing 8-2.
That's a good opportunity for Cito Gaston to get some of these guys in the bullpen some work. Brandon Lee coming in, get an inning of 2 of work. Last appeared against Cleveland, believe it or not. It's been a while ago where he blew that save, where he pitched 2 innings, gave up 5 hits, 3 earnings.
He's another one of those pitchers like Brian Wolf, who relieved Scott Richmond, who just didn't see any action on that 5-game swing through Anaheim and Oakland. And so here he is, 2 balls and a strike. And Cabrera looks at ball 3. On the ground, backhanded by Millar. Lee covering. And there goes Melky. Earlier we were talking about the focus of someone like Alex Rodriguez, knowing that the crowds in visiting ballparks are going to be all over him for a good portion of this year and probably till the end of his career. I had an interesting conversation yesterday with Al Leiter, who pitched here with the Blue Jays, obviously, and with the Yankees as well. A man actually traded at one point for A.J. Burnett. And he said, when you're pitching in the big leagues and you're, say, at Yankee Stadium and there are 55,000 people there, you don't really notice the crowd. You're so zeroed in on the catcher and what the catcher is doing and who your next hitter is. You're not playing to the crowd. He had the opportunity, I think last year, to go up on stage and perform with Bruce Springsteen at Shea Stadium. And he said it was by far and away the most nervous moment of his life, because he realized as a musician you're playing to a crowd, but as a baseball player you're playing to zero in on what you need to do, either make a pitch or hit a baseball.
Right.
And he said the difference was incredible.
And Al Leiter was playing a musical instrument?
No, I don't think he was. I think he was just, you know, singing harmony with Springsteen and the E Street Band. I think he and Bruce are buds.
Well, a lot of guys say that when they're pitching. They don't hear the crowd. They're just focused in on the catcher in the strike zone, playing catch between 2 teammates.
Gardner's on base. He's a speedster. He's had himself a night, too, a home run and a triple. And it brings up the shortstop, Ramiro Pena.
When you have big crowds, you really, it's just a general buzz around the stadium. I've always felt when the crowds were lighter that you heard everybody. What I mean by, if you're taking a beating and you're in a visiting ballpark and some guy decides to single you out and get on you, you can really hear them. With a bigger crowd, you don't notice them as much.
He gets jammed, pops it up over near the Jays dugout, Rolen races over, and it's made. He makes the catch, reaches in and takes it away. Boy, what a great play by a third baseman who got to the rail as quickly as he could.
This is the second nice play of the evening. Made a nice stop on a ball, and then this one here reaches and really couldn't go much farther than that. That's all he had that he could do without going into the stands and falling into it. Scott Rolen is a big man, too. He's deceptively big. He fits in nicely with everybody else, but he's 6'4", about 235.
There comes Cervelli again. The pitch is way off the plate. Ball one. Cervelli knocked in a run in the 5th inning, his first big league RBI. Eight to New York in the 7th inning. This is the second of 17 meetings between these two clubs. They will next face off in New York July the 3rd for a 4-game series, all day games. After the series concludes here tomorrow, the Chicago White Sox come into town for 4 games. And we'll broadcast the final 3 in that series. Friday night belongs to the Memorial Cup here on Sportsnet, and then Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, 3 consecutive day games that start at 1 Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific. Two and two, a swing and a miss. Cervelli strikes out, and Brandon League walks one here in the 7th, but leaves him on base. Bottom half coming up. The Jays trail by quite a few against the Yankees. After a stirring victory by the Jays last night, to this point, no contest. The Yankees are leading this one 8-2. Andy Pettitte goes 6, and along the way holds the Blue Jays to 2 runs on 5 hits. Lots of hits for the Yankees, 11 all told, most of them for extra bases.
A short outing by Scott Richmond, 1 2/3 innings pitched, 7 hits, 5 earnings. Really hit hard, shortest outing of a Toronto Blue Jay pitcher this season.
And so, after 6 innings of work, Andy Pettitte is drawn out of the game, and in comes Alfredo Aceves, who some time ago was actually property of the Toronto Blue Jays. In fact, he was signed by the Jays as a non-drafted minor league free agent in January of 2001, and played in the Dominican Summer League in the Blue Jays organization in the 01 year, and then went off to the Mexican League and spent a bunch of years there before debuting with the Yankees last year.
skyrocketed to the big leagues, really. Was in a couple different spots. Tampa, Trenton, Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, and then in the big leagues. Went from A, AA, AAA, and found himself pitching with the parent club, the Yankees, in 08.
As fate would have it, he ended up making his big league debut last August against Toronto. And he's pitching against Marco Scutaro here. Bottom of the 7th inning. Top of the order for the Jays. Two balls and a strike now. Andy Pettit went 6. Gives up the 2 runs on 5 hits. He walked 4, including 3 in the first inning. And the Blue Jays were just unable to take advantage, scoring once.
Pettit did a nice job of not giving in to the Blue Jay hitters. Walked a few, didn't give in. 4 walks.
High and deep to left field, but playable for Cabrera. And Scutaro is out on a high fly ball. Well, for those of you with mobile phones, we'd like to remind you that you can get your scores by way of text messaging. All you have to do is text the word alerts, ALERTS, to the short code 707070, and you'll receive Blue Jays scores live on your mobile phone. The standard message rates apply. Back comes John McDonald, 0 for 1 after replacing Aaron Hill in the 5th inning. We certainly haven't heard a word of complaint out of McDonald over his lack of playing time this year. And knowing John, we won't.
No, he's a perfect guy on the roster to fill that spot. Utility player. I've always felt the 24th and 25th guy on a major league roster was their attitude was the most important, because they're the guys that are not going to play every day.
Off the end of the bat, Aceves covering, and McDonald's gone. He's 0 for 2.
And the guys that don't get to play every day, if they're hanging their head and bickering and second guessing the manager, it could, you know, it could lead to a problem. And a guy like John McDonald, he knows his role. He's going to get a chance here and there to spell Hill and Scutaro.
Wow. That breaking ball jelly leg Mr. Rios. Strike 1 on the batter. Nubbed out in front of the plate. Aceves has it. He throws out Rios and gets an easy 1, 2, 3, 7th. We've completed 7 here in Toronto. It's 8-2 New York. Most reliable period. Did you know that last night's victory was the Jays' 200th against the Yankees and their 100th here at home? A milestone win. And an entertaining one, too, without question. Roy Halladay's complete game victory, his first of the year in that sense, ran his record to 7-1. The Jays beat the Yankees 5-1.
Cito Gaston giving his bullpen a little work tonight with a big score in the favor of the Yanks. Jason Frazier coming in. Last appeared Sunday afternoon in Oakland.
And with Frazier's luck, he'll pitch a 1-2-3-8. The Blue Jays will score 9 times in the bottom of the inning, and he'll win his 5th game of the year because
he's got 4 already.
He has swooped in.
Swooped. Oh, that's right. He's been able to pick up some vulture wins, as they refer to it in the bullpen.
Now, I spoke to Jason about that label. He doesn't like it. Doesn't like the vulture label as he deals with Johnny Damon. So he feels that vulture is too negative. He wants to be called the Swan.
He said this?
Yes. I spoke to him about this in Oakland. You know, that he swoops in graciously, or excuse me, gracefully, and pitches well, picks up a win, and runs his record to this point 4-0. Ripped to first, and Millar can't find it. He underhands to Frazier, covering, and they get him. They get Johnny Damon. Kevin Millar had to do the windmill on that ball.
Well, this ball's rocketed by his ex-teammate when they played together in Boston. He's able to stop it. Shovel it to Frazier at first base. Nice play. He's giving a peek into the dugout.
Back comes Nick Swisher. When we last saw Swisher, he was hitting on the other side of the plate. Now with a right-hander on, he goes back to hitting left-handed. How do you become a switch hitter? Did you ever experiment hitting on the other side of the plate?
I did a little bit in high school, and it was uncomfortable. I was a right-handed thrower, left-handed hitter, and typically switch hitters are natural right-handed hitters that try to hit left-handed. But you've got to do it at a very early age. You're going to get a majority of your at-bats when you're young and an amateur from the left side, because there's a lot more right-handed pitching. Not quite sure what side is most natural for Nick Swisher.
If we have a lot of young amateur baseball players watching this game, do you encourage that they try to hit from both sides of the plate?
I would say if they're left-handed, naturally left-handed, go ahead and try to hit some right. But if you're naturally right-handed, it's tough to go and get a lot of at bats from the left side. Here's Nick Swisher's antics that he does. Kind of steps out, does the bat deal, gives Chuck Merriweather the hold sign, then goes. Let's see if he'll get another pitch and we can see it again.
He will. That's fouled away.
The step out, tap the shoe, adjust the glove. 1. Yeah. Make sure I'm staying in there. Get the foot set. 2 twists. 1. Oh, just 1 twist. No, there's the second.
Half a twist.
Bat up. Give the hold sign to Chuck Merriweather and look in the sky.
Say hi to Grandma.
There it
is. He struck out. But that routine won't change. That's like Nomar Garcia Parra, just slower.
A little slower. That's pretty good heat here. Outside part of the plate.
Thank you for that running commentary.
I've watched it a couple times on TV. It's got an interesting pre-pitch routine. Nomar Garciaparra had quite a routine. Trying to think back in the day, was it Brian Downing? There was someone that had a very long routine. It was
Mike Hargrove was well
Mike
known to have
Hargrove.
one.
That's who I'm thinking of. Sorry, Mike Hargrove.
Brian Downing was just a big hulking figure. He looked like Arnold Schwarzenegger at the plate. Here's Mark Teixeira, who's driven in 2 this night. 2-0. Frazier deals off the plate. 3 balls, no strikes. Frazier has a save this year. He picked that up in Cleveland in relief of B.J. Ryan. Swing and a miss there. 3-2. He's picked up wins against Minnesota. Won a game against Oakland here at Rogers Center, thanks to a walk-off home run. Won an 11th inning game here against Texas. And then one against Baltimore, too. Also in an 11th inning walk-off victory. 3-2, strike 3 called, and Teixeira's gone. And Frazier gets his 1-2-3-8.
On to BlueJays.com for your chance to win an all-expense-paid trip to see the Jays in comfort. TD Canada Trust, putting you in the comfort zone.
Bottom of the 8th inning here in Toronto. I'm Jamie Campbell with Darren Fletcher. An 8-2 lead for the Yankees in Game 2 of this 3-game series. Number 91 is on the mound for the Yankees. Alfredo Aceves facing number 10 for the Blue Jays, Vernon Wells.
Aceves has got a nice breaking ball.
Picked himself up a 1-2-3 7th inning. Deals outside there, 2-1. He is only the second Yankee to wear a uniform number in the 90s. Back in 1952, Charlie Keller won number 99. And this one heads for center field. That ball rolls up against the wall for Vernon Wells, who leads off the inning with a double. Extra bases for Vernon. He picks up his 10th double of the year.
A hard hit ball by Vernon. Brett Gardner's fast, but wasn't able to catch up with this one. Had to play it off the wall.
And so Adam Lynn now comes to the plate. He's 0 for 2. I mentioned that note on Aceves' number and realized that on this day in 1929, the Yankees lost a game to the Indians in Cleveland 4-3. It was the first major league game between clubs wearing numbered uniforms.
Really?
Yes. Slashed foul by number 26. Good catch by the man down there in the cozy seats. Of course, back in the early days, they'd wear a number based on their order.
Right. That's where the Yankees get Babe Ruth number 3, and who's number 1 for the Yankees?
You stumped me. There's a broken bat. Fly ball to right field. Swisher comes over. Wells tags at second. The throw is late, and he advances. That's a great question.
Phil Rizzuto?
Oh, you mean when numbers were first introduced?
Well, no. I mean the retired. You know, in Yankee history here, there's not a whole lot of numbers that they are able to give out. That's why you'll see
number
a lot
1
of
is Billy Martin.
Number 1, Billy Martin. So
yeah.
that one's off the books. Can't use that one anymore.
Number 3, Babe Ruth. Number 4, Lou Gehrig. There's number 57, Sean Kemp. I mean, seriously, if you're looking for a number here in the first 10, you're out of luck. If you're a Yankee. Because they're essentially all spoken for. And soon enough, number 2 will be out of commission, too.
Phil Rizzuto, number 10. Retired number.
There's Scott Rowland wearing the number 33 as chosen by his daughter. When he joined the Blue Jays, they presented a variety of options numbers wise. He took them home, showed them off to his daughter, and she said 33. He's 2 for fee tonight. 2-0 pitch. Now 2-1. And of course, the only reason I asked Roland about that is because you, when we were in Kansas City, wondered if being an Indiana boy and a pretty good high school basketball player, if he was wearing it in honor of Larry Bird. He gets jammed, pops it up. Cano can see it. He backs up and makes the play. So Aceves and Cervelli have words. Kevin Millar will be the hitter here. 2 innings ago, the Blue Jays led off with a double and stranded him. Here's Wells now, who's doubled, advanced to third, and there are 2 away. Let's see if Kevin Millar can cash him with 2 out. If everything stays the same here and the Yankees end up winning this, the rubber match goes tomorrow night, and the Blue Jays will certainly have their work cut out for them against CC Sabathia, who is just 2-3 on the year, but he fashions a 3.94 ERA.
There's the big guy.
It hasn't been the fairy tale start that perhaps Sabathia was hoping for.
But he's an intimidating guy out on the mound.
Swing and a miss. Millar strikes out. And they leave Vernon stranded at third.
Home Hardware and Home Hardware Building Center. Homeowners helping homeowners.
One more fast fact for you before we head out tonight. And they're brought to you by Rogers High-Speed Internet, the fastest and most reliable period. The Blue Jays here at Rogers Center are 12-4 this season and have not lost a series. Just 4 losses all year in this building.
It's a good stat.
Very impressive. You know, they've played well here at home for a couple of years now. And they have, to this point at least, figured out how to play on the road, too.
Cito Gaston's going to his 6th pitcher of the night, Sean Camp. Worked a week ago in Los Angeles. 14 innings pitched, 16 hits. 7 base on balls, 7 walks, or 7 strikeouts.
Scudero takes the bouncing ball and throws out Alex Rodriguez. So the Jays here at home are 12-4 entering tonight's action, and 11-8 on the road.
Well, what's the old adage? Win at home, play 500 on the road. You got a chance to win your division. Well, if the Blue Jays accomplished one thing tonight, they got some work for their bullpen guys, and that is important. It is important because some of those guys hadn't pitched, and Camp hasn't pitched in a week. Brandon League hadn't pitched in a while. You got to keep those guys fresh. And fresh, I mean by using them. You know, you get a little stale down there if you haven't pitched in 4 and 5 days.
Here's John McDonald. He throws out Cano, 2 away. Well, we saw that illustrated on Saturday in Oakland when the Blue Jays had a 6-1 lead going into the 9th inning. Scott Downs came on to pitch the 9th against the A's. He hadn't pitched in a while. It wasn't a save situation for Downs, and he ended up struggling. He allowed 3 runs on 5 hits, including a 2-run home run by Jason Giambi, and managed to get out of it with the bases loaded. He got a fly ball out of Landon Powell, the number 9 hitter, and that really was the out that finally cemented a 6-4 win. And you're right, he just looked rusty in that outing because he hadn't pitched in a while, and he came in to a degree a non-critical situation. Here's the 0-2, and it's bounced off the plate. Barehanded by Camp, and he makes the play. 3 up, 3 down in the 9th. Bottom half on the way, and the Blue Jays trail by 6. So they'll need to rally here. You're watching Blue Jays baseball on Rogers Sportsnet. Commentator clothing is provided in part by Zenia. Statistical information provided by Stats Inc. In the bottom of the ninth, 2 changes of note for the Yankees. They've got a new pitcher on the mound. That's not him, though he'd like to be. He is this man, Jonathan Albaladeo. Takes over for Alfredo Aceves, who went 2 innings. Albaladeo picked up a couple of years back from the Washington Nationals for a right-hander named Tyler Clippard. He made his 14th appearance in Saturday's loss in Baltimore. Here's his 15th in the 9th inning against the Jays. Rod Barajas leads off the inning. The Blue Jays trail by 6. And it's a strike issued. Over at third base, Angel Baroa has taken over for Alex Rodriguez in as a defensive replacement. A former Rookie of the Year in the American League. He's tested here, backhanding the ball, makes the long throw to first and gets Barajas.
Rookie of the Year in Kansas City, playing shortstop.
And so Jose Bautista is the batter here. Here's another aspect of Cito Gaston's managing that I think fans, well, I don't know if they warm to it, if they like it, if they don't like it, but the fact that in a situation where he could probably bring somebody off the bench, you know, maybe stick a left-hander in here like Travis Snyder, he allows the players who start the game to finish out the game as often as possible.
Yeah, well, they don't get as many starts.
No.
There's not as many, so why taking a bat away from him? Snyder's probably going to get more at bats than Bautista.
But even if this was a situation where a right-hander started for the Yankees and Travis Snyder, who's getting most of the reps in left field, was getting the start, a situation like this, he'd probably still be hitting. That seems to be what Cito Gaston likes to do. You start it, you finish it.
Yeah, let the players play. 8-2 here, he wouldn't pinch hit. Now, if it's 4-4 in the bottom of the ninth and Travis Snyder's up there and they bring in a nasty lefty, I think that he would think twice about maybe bringing in a righty to bat for him, considering he's a younger player. But Cito Gaston has always been known as a veterans manager. And veteran players just like to be left alone. They don't want to be overmanaged. They want to be put in the lineup. They want to go out there and play.
Here's Marco Scutaro coming up for the 5th time. He's walked, he's doubled, he's flied out twice. One away in the 9th inning. Bautista at first. Jonathan Albaladeo throws the first pitch off the plate, so here comes Cervelli. Any idea what kind of conversation is necessary with an 8-2 lead?
Just going over the signs. I don't know. Something's going on because here comes the pitching coach. Cervelli went to the mound. I wasn't quite sure why he went, and then something's going on. Dave Island running out of the Yankees dugout. And if you would have thought maybe something was wrong with him physically, they would have brought out the trainer. But Dave Island runs out there to remind him of more than likely saying, hey, it's 8-2. Don't mess around with any breaking stuff. Just throw some fastballs down the middle. The only thing that can really hurt you here is base on balls.
Three and a strike.
Got a good arm, throwing 93, 94 miles an hour with the fastball.
It's a big man too, 6'5", weighs about 255. 3-1 on Scutaro. And that's more like it. Here's the payoff. Ball 4. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. Two walks by Albaladeo here in the 9th inning. Puts Bautista up at second, Scutaro at first, and John McDonald hitting. Johnny Mack is 0 for 2, and he quickly runs over for a word of advice from Nick Leyva.
Nick Leyva probably said, take till you get a strike. Guy's having problems with his control. You're down by 6 runs. You need some base runners.
There's a strike.
Johnny Mack taken all the way.
Two on, one out. Albaladeo sets and fires. Hit up the middle, a base hit. McDonald. Bautista's held at third. Bases are loaded. So good for John McDonald to get a hit. Just his 3rd of the year. And now things are getting interesting for Dave Island and the Yankees.
Well, this is what Dave Island and Joe Girardi didn't want to have happen. They wanted to go out there and make quick work of the Blue Jay hitters, but it's been a struggle. A couple walks and a base hit, and what you don't want to do is you don't want to have to get up Mariano Rivera to finish this thing off. Even if you don't have to use him, you've got to call down there and get the guy up. He's 38 years old. He's got to get loose. He may end up getting out of this inning, but you don't want to even have to have him get up and waste any bullets.
You might need him tomorrow. Strike one on Rios. And a bouncer to third. Baroa goes to second for one. On to first, double play, and that's the ball game. It was a little messy in the end, but Alvaladeo gets it done, and the Yankees secure an 8-2 win in Game 2 of the series. The rubber match comes tomorrow. Join us then. For Darren Fletcher and Scott Carson, I'm Jamie Campbell saying goodnight from Toronto. Time now for Sportsnet Connected.